Welcome to
Welcome to
the
the
Endzone.
Endzone.
I'm Rob,
And I'm Ray.
and I want to start this episode off by saying happy birthday,
Thank you.
Mr. 27-year-old here. And yeah, so we had an exciting week of football action.
Yeah, it was a good time. Sunday yesterday was very action packed. So today we're doing Monday uh, because of our schedule circumstances. And we're inside because of the wind outside. So we didn't want it to pick up too much on the mics. But yeah, it was a great time yesterday. And, feel like, I don't know, as you get older with birthdays, it almost feels like another day. But, everyone got together for me. So that was real nice. And, just got some pizza, had some beers, and enjoyed the games yesterday. So it was definitely a good time.
Good. Yeah. So there was a lot of, I think we should just jump right into it because Thursday night, our Dolphins got destroyed by the Buffalo Bills. We
Oh
talked about
man,
them being, the hurdle that we got to overcome for the AFC East. And man, we lost a lot, not only the game, to that concussion he suffered, late in the game. And I got to tell you, man, like as a parent, I would have the conversation with him like, son, it's time to hang it up. Like you proved that you can do it. Your health outside of the NFL and longevity for life has got to come to play now.
yep, I
And,
agree.
if the NFL, if he can't get out of his own way, I think the NFL needs to step in. I know there's a lot of money at stake, but, I just got to think as a father, like you just got to sit down your son, like, you proved it. I understand that you still want to show that, you're worth every penny that you've earned, and you have been. But I think at this point, you got to hang it up.
Yeah, it's tough. It's obviously with Tua, the very concerning thing is every time he gets hit in the head, it's like it just seems like he gets stuck with his hands, and he gets
Mm-hmm.
a, I think they call it fencing mechanism. So um, it's just very unfortunate to see. He was looked like he was, obviously the Bills game was tough, but week one looked like he was making some strides this year. Seemed pretty hungry. Bills seem to just be the Dolphins' kryptonite in the recent years, and obviously with Josh Allen there, it's kind of hard to overcome that. But yeah, I mean, just seeing him injured, it's at this point you really got to put your health into consideration, and
Mm-hmm.
on the selfish side, he gets all that guaranteed money too, so it's like at least you have that to fall back on. But yeah, I know for him, he doesn't want to retire, but it's almost looking like a more realistic conversation at this point. It's you can only handle so much, and I think he's a young father, if I'm not mistaken. I think he has a daughter or a kid of some sort, and I know he's married, so it's like, man, you want to be able to remember all your memories in life and be able to live it to the fullest too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, very scary sighting and unfortunate circumstance for sure.
And he's only 26.
Yeah,
We think about the CTE that's happened in the NFL, and just first one that comes to mind is Junior Seau, and how tragic of an ending of his life that was, and that's not something you want to see for such a young man. He's got such a long projected life ahead of him. And he's been a great family guy, great leader. He's always pumping up his guys, and
hmm,
he's eager to learn, eager to improve, which we really admire. The fact that he doesn't slide, like bro,
yes,
slide. You had, in the Bills game, he was able to, he had the first down.
yeah, the first down.
And I understand you want to show your team you're fighting, but you also got to be smart and protect yourself.
Yeah, that's
You
one
know,
thing. I remember I heard Tom Brady was talking one time, and he was saying how Bill Belichick, when he was young, yelled at him one time for taking a big hit on a scramble. He's like, "You want to play in this game a long time? You got to learn how to slide, especially as a quarterback." Um, it's just very important because I mean, for one, you're not the most strong guy on the team typically, unless you're like
hmm
Anthony Richardson. You might have a case, but even you see him take that big hit. He got hurt last year, and
yeah,
Tua is not the tallest guy. I mean, he's pretty stocky, but he's not the tallest guy, and he just one hit like that, it clears you out. And these guys are coming in so fast, and they hit you so hard. So when you take those blows to the brain, it just takes a toll, and it's just
yeah,
very unfortunate for him, um, and honestly for the whole team as well, because now it's like we look like we're gonna have a promising season, but now it's a little uncertain. I know we brought in Tyler Huntley. I know we have Skylar Thompson, but I don't know if we're gonna be a high level team. The only positive is we have our playmakers healthy besides Raheem Mostert.
Hmm.
But you got HM, Waddle, Hill still. So
Right.
get those guys the ball in their hands, they're going to do good work. But in terms of having that quarterback leadership, it's going to be interesting to see how it shapes up. So
Yeah, Mike McDaniel's definitely got his hands full
yeah,
coming
he
up.
got an extension too, so he's got to show his worth on that.
Yeah,
You know.
he's done some incredible things as the head coach, and it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold. Man, I know Tua's meeting with concussion specialists, but I'm just praying that he makes the right decision and just walk away at this point. Because I just worry about longevity for his health, and I don't want to see one of these tragic things down the road where an unfortunate circumstance presents itself, and I
Yeah,
just really don't want that for him. There's been other big injury news around the league this weekend.
man, crazy.
I mean, we had Kittle and Debo going down along
Yeah,
with McCaffrey for the Niners. Thank God they got that Ayuk situation squared away. Mason's value is just increasing again.
yep.
And then we had Cooper Cup going down. So now you're down to Kua and Cooper Cup.
That's gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out because I mean, I guess by default, Demarcus Robinson's the top dog on that team for
Right.
receiver. Colby
Right.
Parkinson, I think whoever picked him up off the waivers, that's gonna shoot up his stock for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, you have two on the Chiefs side. Hollywood Brown, obviously out for the remainder of the regular season, so I think that boosts obviously Rasheed Rice stock like sky high. I think
Hmm.
Rasheed Rice his stock was already sky high, but it just solidifies, like he's for sure the most alpha receiver on that team, even in the deep game now. Xavier Worthy should see some decent games. I don't know if he'll be consistent as a rookie, but might help him out a bit too. And then you lost Isaiah Pacheco, so it'll be interesting to see how the running back room takes shape too now.
Right.
I mean, they got that guy Steele, but I don't know if he's a starting running back in the NFL. I think he still got Clyde Edwards-Helaire there, and then they were talking to Kareem Hunt again too. So whoever they get, I mean, if you need like a guy to stream, you're gonna want to do it on a team like the Chiefs where they're gonna be constantly in goal line situations. So I just don't know if there's gonna be like a starting relevant fantasy running back week in and week out unless they get
Right.
some big name, that could come in and just do some great work. But and another injury too that hurt me a lot was Evan Ingram. So, well, it kind of didn't hurt me. So, if you guys are Evan Ingram owners, the guy I pivoted to this week was Mike Gesicki. And the reason why was because T. Higgins is out. They're still working Chase back into the lineup. But man,
Hmm.
Gesicki was fantasy gold for me this week out of the tight end spot. Another guy too could be maybe Foster Moreau for the Saints. Taysom Hill if he's available. But tight ends are kind of shaky this year, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Mark Andrews hasn't really been lighting the world on fire. Kelsey, another dud week. I took him kind of higher in the draft this year, and so far he hasn't panned out. But
Yeah.
it's still early in the season. I think yeah, tight ends for sure. Bowers for the Raiders
Man, he's looking good.
he's been looking good. So that's another could be a good option if someone hasn't snagged him up, which I'm pretty sure at this point he's probably taken. But I think yeah, there's only those select few tight ends that are there, and then everybody else. I mean, Ferguson for Dallas has been out.
Yeah.
That's another big blow to their offense. So and then yeah, it's just right now it's just really hard to kind of with all these injuries that are happening like week to week. Some people are left scrambling, and that's why we're
Yep.
here.
Yep.
So
I was how did your week 2 turn out?
So my week 2 was nice. I actually got a nice healthy victory. So my team did good. Even though Kelsey was kind of underperformed. Mason did his thing. James Conner, man, another great week for him. That Arizona offense, Kyler. Thankfully the person I'm playing started Stafford over Kyler, so
Oof.
that was pretty nice. Pretty nice for me because
I
it.
don't know why you would do that,
Yeah, well, I think he was banking on Cooper Cup
but
kind of doing this thing. But yeah, so that was pretty nice. And I think for you, you're looking like this week's top scorer. So congrats to you.
yeah, this week was, and it's funny, we both weren't discouraged after week 1, felt good going into week 2. So it's all about making the adjustments and just trusting, the guys that you feel like are going to pan out. So going into this week, yeah, I scored 146.28 points. Didn't have anybody for the Monday night game, but Devon Achan going off Thursday night for me with 26 fantasy points
Hmm.
was I mean, that was a huge help. So my lineup consisted of Justin Fields, Justin Jefferson, George Pickens, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achan, Mike Gesicki, who I had to pivot to literally Sunday morning because Evan Ingram hurt his hamstring, I think during warmups or something.
Mm,
J.K. Dobbins, man. I mean, if he's still available anywhere, or if you could get him at any type of way, I mean, I would just jump all over him. He's looking like a real steal this year. 21.6 points. Had Chris Boswell who did solid, and that tenacious Pittsburgh defense against Bo Nix as a rookie. I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna start you guys. So
nice.
I left some points on the bench though. One I was sad about was Malik Neighbors, 23.7 points. I ended up putting George Pickens in because I was starting Fields. It could have been a good game for Pickens. Like he was torching the Broncos D. There was a touchdown call back. I think like a 50-yard bomb called back. So he could have. It's definitely like his 3.9 fantasy points for me weren't like exactly what they had showed during the game. Like he looked great.
Right.
Um, but yeah, Malik Neighbors. It was sad seeing him going off on my bench, but I mean, it's good for me going forward. Guy had 18 targets, 10 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. So that was really nice to see. Nice little surprise there.
Yeah, you've been really high on him since, pre-draft, so it's nice to see that his value is starting to spike. Dev Singletary had a pretty good game too for the Giants, which was kind of nice to see. So, I think the Giants, one of those teams where Daniel Jones, at times he can light the world on fire, and there's times when it just kind of duds. So I'm
Yeah,
thinking, I think Neighbors is going to be a good play down the stretch for you for sure.
absolutely.
So, and he's already showing signs of improving week to week and making the most of his opportunity. So,
Yeah, and he's really the only bright spot for the Giants, honestly, on offense. I know Singletary did pretty good, but yeah, I think it's gonna be Malik Neighbors all year. Um, and yeah, some other guys that popped off this week. I mean, Sam Darnold looked good again against the Niners, so might not be a fluke here with him on the Vikings. So I mean, Josh Dobbs looked pretty good with them last year too. So
yeah.
it's a good quarterback friendly system, but maybe Sam Darnold found a spot where he could kind of lock in, and it'll be interesting to see. If he plays good this year, is he going to be the starter when McCarthy comes back, or how are they going to work that out too?
Hmm.
You know, Derek Carr too. He looked just tremendous against Dallas. I remember I texted you and I was like, "Holy Derek Carr! Like he's just
Yeah.
Rashid Shaheed dropping bombs to him." Baker Mayfield too had another solid week. So that was pretty interesting to see there too. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. finally came alive for the Cardinals,
Boy, did
and
he.
uh, Nico Collins doing his thing. Rashid Shaheed, like I mentioned, a big surprise. I mean, he has the talent, but nice to see him, finally pop off. Was Quentin Johnson for the Chargers? He looked like a number one pick finally with the two touchdowns.
Hmm.
Um, the one that paid me the most though, I had to drop for Gasicki so I could have a tight end. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Guy had 12 catches yesterday, and I was just like, oh my gosh. You know, I was calling his solid year, and week one wasn't pretty, so I was like, well, maybe it's not his year, but man, I'm pretty sad I dropped him, and I'm like, hopefully I could get him back.
Well, maybe he's got to clear waivers, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, you don't. When you drop him, you don't have that priority for waivers. So,
yeah. Is there
but
any other players that popped off that you could think of?
I mean, Rasheed Rice did his thing. That was nice to see. Um, Shakir had a good game on Thursday Night Football
Yeah,
for Buffalo, and then James Conner. I had him. He did great. Um, Harrison Jr. Yes, that was definitely really nice. It'd be kind of interesting to see what happens tonight for Philly without AJ Brown. So we'll have to see if Barkley can continue to run at that clip that he's been running at to start the season. And then Devontae Smith, I mean, he's got huge upside tonight.
yeah,
It'd be kind of cool to see what the Falcons do. Cousins kind of didn't really have a great week one, and it'd
yeah,
be nice to see what he does to
yeah,
bounce back because he owned a lot of that. After watching that quarterback series on Netflix, I really love Kirk Cousins, big cousin fan. So I'm rooting for him tonight. Be interesting to see how they spread the ball around and how he leads that team, in a hostile situation. So
yeah, yeah. That would be a good game. I think. I'm going to predict a winner, it'd probably have to be the Eagles. I think
Hmm.
Kirk Cousins definitely steps it up tonight. You know, Jordan Love really dissected that defense week one. Um, I think Kirk Cousins, you know, if you're gonna have a get right game, it's gonna be a game where you're gonna have to pass the ball a lot
Hmm.
because I mean the Eagles offense, regardless AJ Brown or not, yeah, AJ Brown's the or the igniter of the offense, but like you said, you still got Saquon Barkley, you got Dallas Goddard, Jahan Dotson. That's why you traded for him for depth, you know.
Right.
So he's pretty under the radar. Um, so I think they're going to be able to move the ball still. You still got that good old line, you
Hmm.
know, obviously Devontae Smith too. So yeah, I mean, Falcons are going to have to throw the ball. Bijan Robinson should be pretty solid tonight too. I think you know they're going to have to rely on him a lot this year.
Right.
So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this Eagles offense without AJ Brown. I don't think there's really been a situation so far since they've had him where they've had to go without him. So
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. One guy that did pop off that we did fail to mention, who I really wanted to get in this year draft, was Alvin Kamara. I
yes,
mean, he three touchdowns on the ground, one on a nice screen pass, and man, he went for 45 fantasy points in our league this past week.
because you get the bonus points for big plays too, right?
Yeah,
Did he get
so
one?
yeah, so he had a yeah, so he ran the ball 20 times, 115 yards rushing, three rushing touchdowns, two receptions, 65 yards. So he had the 40-yard reception and 40-yard receiving touchdown for bonus points. And yeah, so it was really nice to see him have a great game.
Yeah, he's looking real quick. Him and Saquon Barkley are kind of surprising to me. Like they're getting older, but they still have that burst, and it's like, holy cow, you just see them take off with the ball.
Right.
So, but the Saints have been a real nice surprise this year for honestly, like, you know, fans and fantasy owners. Like Derek Carr's looking rejuvenated, looks more comfortable with this offense. You know, Alvin Kamara, like you have him looking like he's in his prime still. I mean, they're a sneaky playoff team in my opinion. Like because that defense they have too is just top tier. Um,
But punching
so
down,
yeah,
I don't know the way they manhandled Dallas and carved up that Dallas D. I don't think anybody predicted it to be as one sided as it was.
I really didn't. I my fiance has Dallas defense in Chicago, and I was like, I would go with Dallas over, you know, basically like I would go with Verson Carr than CJ Stroud, but I mean that that Saints offense just torched them. I was like, holy cow, like they look legit.
Yeah. And it's funny because, Sin City Raiders, Marco, he had Kamara. But when we talk about Derek Carr being the next Raider QB, because Marco's a Raider fan, they always call him Charlie Checkdown. And what's he doing? This
Checking it
guy is
down.
airing it, checking it down. He's also airing it out. So back to back weeks throwing big
Man,
bombs
the
to
Shaheed
Shaheed. So
ones, my gosh.
yeah, so it's pretty amazing to see. It's nice to see Derek Carr rejuvenated. I do agree. Kamara does look a lot quicker this year. I don't know if he dropped some weight. Whatever he's doing, man, keep doing it because
He's looking explosive.
he's looking really explosive. Last year was, he had a productive year, but it wasn't one of his better years.
Exactly.
And so it's nice to see him off to a great
Last
start.
year looked like he was taking a step down. Like it looked like he wasn't as quick. Like he was still consistent, but he didn't look like as into it. But this year, at least so far, he's coming out the gates hot. Like he's running like a man possessed out there.
Hmm.
You know, driving a Lamborghini. So
Well, and I think another year too. Like the team, there was a lot of pieces that kind of came into play, and
that's
now
true.
they've got another year together.
Yeah,
They had an off season to bond, and I think that really
yeah.
helps too. Creating that chemistry.
See the way Derek Carr's playing this year too. I thought he was going to come in there last year doing that because with the Raiders, he was not the worst quarterback. And not saying like he was elite or anything, but he was just, you know, always so gutsy. He liked to air it out a bit. I mean, yeah, he checked the ball down, but he was connecting with Devontae Adams down the field a lot
Hmm.
with the Raiders. So when he came in last year with the Saints, I was like, okay, this team does have deep threats in Olave and Shaheed. I thought last year he was going to be like how he is this year, but
Right.
now, like you're saying, maybe they're just all meshing now and kind of getting that chemistry. This offense is looking like an underrated offense, especially for fantasy. Like Alvin Kamara's a really good value pick this year, it looks like, and Rashid Shaheed too might be. his year, you know, like where he
Right.
just kind of takes it to that next level.
You know,
So we'll see. It's still early, but it's looking good.
yeah, no, I agree. And Olave at some point he's going to have his big game or run of big games. So I mean, with the weapons that they have, I mean, and their
Yeah,
defense is playing really well. So yeah, I mean, Saints defense I think is a top tier defense right now in fantasy
easily.
as well.
Even in real life, I mean, they're tough. They're
Hmm.
tough. So how are you prepping going into week 3, and what are you looking like, and what do you like?
So for me, going into week 3, the Jamar Chase thing, it's still man. I think at this point you just got to commit to playing. If you're going to play, it's either play or sit, in my opinion, because he kind of was a little chippy against the Chiefs this past weekend, and it kind of hurt his team with a penalty late in the game that put his team in a hard position to try to get a first down in a crucial time. And I'm thinking at this point, like if you are still this upset about the contract situation, maybe just sit out. You threaten to hold out. Maybe just follow through with
Yeah.
that. Get your mind right. Take care of your business. Because if you're gonna play, commit to playing. That's
And what
kind of where
did
I'm
you
at.
see that clip too, where him and Burrow kind of got into it?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like,
So
man, like,
and that's your quarterback. That's your leader of your
yeah,
team, and
boy since college.
right. And you're the number one. So it's
Yeah,
like you got to show
you
you
got to
got to
show.
show that. You know. And so yeah, not having T Higgins hurts, but it's like at this point, it's either you got to commit one way or the other. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's a interesting situation, you know, because he wants to get paid, but yeah, I mean, you still got to show up. You still got to be there for your team.
Yeah.
I mean, because at the end of the day, like football is a team sport. It's not like you could carry one week, but
Hmm.
ultimately, if you want to be a successful team, you got to put your ego aside a bit.
Hmm.
And that's one thing like I respect the heck out of Tom Brady for, and like he tells all the young guys, it's like you can have all these accolades and whatnot, but are you winning? Like it doesn't matter unless you win.
Right.
You want to get to the Super Bowl, like you got to be selfless. You got to put the team first. You got to do what's best for the team. So sometimes it's like okay, like I get you want to get paid, but I mean, really, like you're still making like $10 million. You can't live off that for at least a year, you know. But I get it too. Like he wants to see the value, wants to see all his hard work get paid off,
Yeah.
which is fine. I mean, that's what they're there to do, right? These guys come into this league because they want a better life, they want a good lifestyle, right?
Hmm.
So, but at the end of the day, too, like you got to remember what you're doing too. Like you're in a team environment, you got to cooperate as a team, and you got to create this culture.
Right.
So hopefully it gets settled with Cincinnati. Hopefully the higher ups reward the guy for
Yeah.
just being an elite talent. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to keep your cool. Remember, you know, your quarterback he's got your back, man, since college. You can't be getting chippy with him. I'm sure it was, you know, out of brotherly love, and he's pretty hot. You know, like in terms of attitude wise, he was pretty hot then. So it's like just trying to cool him off a bit. But I mean, at the end of the day,
Hmm.
you're still he's a competitive guy, so he's gonna run hot a bit too, right? So
Sure.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, so for my week going into week 3, I'm just gonna roll my horses still. I'm still gonna have Chase in there. They're playing Washington. It's a favorable matchup for him. Hopefully he can get out there and put his head down and then get in the end zone finally. He hasn't seen the end zone yet the first 2 games. He's had a decent amount of targets, but nothing too spectacular like
Well, he could
Jamar
come on
Chase is.
the podcast if he wants. Then reach the end zone.
There you go. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Mahomes. I did pick up Derek Carr. I dropped Aaron Rodgers for Derek Carr because he's got the hot hand. So
There you
Derek
go.
Carr is stashed on my bench right now in our 2 QB format. I'm still sticking with Houston's D. I mean, I love Miami's D. They got a little exposed against Buffalo, so I'm going to stick with Houston.
And we don't have our quarterback, so
Yeah, so that's
more.
going to be tough. So
Yeah.
that defense is going to really have to keep them in the games, and they're coming up playing Seattle, and I just don't know. DK Metcalf and Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett. That triple headed monster. I mean, Fant and Walker were out. Yesterday, and they still went and took care of
Yeah.
business. So with those 3 receivers, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tall task.
Yeah.
I stashed Charbonnet, knowing that Walker wasn't going to be playing, and he actually produced well. But I'm just gonna stick with my horses. I'm gonna stick with Ford, Mason, my 2 running backs. Connor's in my flex. He
Nice.
ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I think Mason,
So
sky's the limit for him right now. I mean,
yeah,
they're feeding him the ball. Now you got when I did a post on the Instagram, I was saying, "Oh, volume up for Jordan Mason and
Hmm.
Debo Samuel is going to see extended plays too." But now with Debo out, I mean, that just frees up more touches for
Right.
Jordan Mason. I think if you're looking for a sleeper from that offense, it has to be Juwan Jennings at this point.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know, he's old, reliable. He's going to be that possession guy that gets them the first downs, bit of a red zone threat.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see too. They have a guy, Ronnie Bell, who they drafted a couple years back.
Hmm.
Maybe he starts getting implemented. But I mean, I think the biggest winner of the receiving game is obviously going to be Brandon Ayuk.
Sure.
Without Debo Samuel, I mean, Brandon Ayuk's just like a freak of a fantasy receiver. So
And he's been proven. You know, he's
yeah,
done it before without when Debo was down, and
yep.
the last couple of years. So he's really risen to the occasion.
They just paid the guy too, so they're going to use him like they paid a top tier wide receiver for
Yeah.
sure.
How
So
are you looking for week 3? How you feeling?
I feel great. I mean, obviously coming off, being the highest scorer of week two, gives me the momentum. So, like I said, wasn't discouraged week one. Now it's just about the only thing I'm kind of worried about is what is the status of Justin Jefferson because he got hurt last week. And man, it was funny because I was on the phone with my grandma, because she was calling me for my birthday and I had the red zone on, getting ready to head out to see this guy and the rest of the family. And man, I just see Sam Darnold drop back and woo, 97-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson. I was like, oh my gosh, I had my phone up. My fiance was like, Raymond, you're on the phone. I'm like, I don't care right now. Like, my guy's scoring a 97-yarder. This is a great birthday gift. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
that was a great birthday gift.
yeah, so it was nice seeing him, doing his thing. But going into week three now, he's got the quad. Says he's feeling good. So I'm just hoping, I'm a little uh, how do you say, scarred from last year because when he got hurt, it was extended time. So now I'm
Yeah.
like, is he good to go or
Yeah, and especially with the amount of injuries that have been seem to be happening week to week
yeah,
right now in the league in this early season. So,
yeah. But I
but
think I'm gonna keep two rolling with Justin Fields going into week three. I mean, he was my keeper, playing the Chargers, so I think they're gonna have to throw the ball a bit, and he still has not had that big game. So last week, like I said too, he was gonna be more of the big play Justin Fields, and he was. But those penalties, man, those
yeah,
penalties killed. Those holding penalties. Because he was in for a big fantasy day last week, at least a bigger one. So I'm gonna roll the dice again with him. Uh, Probably keep Pickens in there. Roll with my three running backs. Hopefully, Evan Engram comes back. If he doesn't, then we'll see. Maybe I'll roll with Gesicki again or not. But I'm feeling okay. I'm a little not as confident as week two, but if Justin Jefferson's there, I'll feel a little more comfortable.
yeah. No, I agree.
If he's for sure good to go.
That's a
So
big part of your team. So yeah, that's a huge piece, not just for the Vikings, but for fantasy owners. You know, that guy is. I don't think we've ever had a rookie come into the league and take the league by storm as
my
Justin
gosh,
Jefferson as a
yeah. You
receiver.
could argue maybe Odell Beckham, but
I mean, Mega when Megatron came, you know, he Calvin Johnson, he was pretty close, but I mean, from start to where he's at now, like even
yeah,
Randy Moss, you know, it took him a little bit of time to get going. Carved out, you know, probably one of the most spectacular careers as an individual for receiver outside of Jerry Rice. But it's like, yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Jefferson just came in, and then he just kept getting better and better and better.
right,
So,
yep,
yeah, so it's good. I feel like we pretty much covered everything. We could just do one last final exercise, just for being a Dolphin fan. So if Tua were not to play, my hypothetical favorite replacements would be Justin Fields, obviously, or Kyler Murray.
hmm
But that's like kind of long shot for me. Um, some other guys I like would probably be like maybe Malik Willis. He looked pretty decent with the Packers. So I was saying I was kind of questioning his throwing in the NFL, but he's quick with the ball. We have a quick offense, and I want to see us with a mobile quarterback. I'm like, we got all these speed guys. Why not get a speed quarterback too?
right.
Sam Howell would be another interesting one. And just for old time's sake, Ryan Tannehill would be not too bad either.
Yeah,
So
it'd be kind of interesting. You know, we were kind of texting back and forth. You know, you threw out Tyrod Taylor, that which was kind of an
yeah,
interesting
I just
choice.
threw like some random
But
names.
I feel like Tannehill would probably give us our best option right now. You know, especially he was our number one pick. You know, some years ago, and then that didn't really pan out with Miami. I mean, he was a receiver, tight end, converted to quarterback in college, so he
Yeah.
didn't have the experience at the college level. some of these other guys have had, and then going to Tennessee and kind of going through some growing pains, but then really
He
played
shined at
played
one point.
well.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
So
More season than Shine Tannehill back in Miami.
right,
He was scrappy, but yeah, he just wasn't that top tier pick like we'd hope he would be.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So if you guys feel free to comment, whatever you guys think too, or if you have any fun suggestions, and yeah, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and we're gonna start posting more TikTok or posting TikTok videos. I haven't even posted one yet, but something I want to start getting going is posting some TikTok shorts. And any suggestions you guys have or any analysis you guys want us to do, feel free to comment. And yeah, feel free to just share whatever.
Thank you for watching.
All right.
Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Take care.